Amnesty International has often been accused of focusing on third world countries, like this issue of corruption. We all know that it's a global issue, but we hear that when the focus is more on Africa, when it gets to countries such as the US and China, it is often downplayed. How would you react to claims like that?
No, I would simply say that is not correct. Because, Amnesty International, as a global movement, does not substitute its own ideology for, any government or any state, for that matter. What we do is we apply international law. We rely on voluntary international agreement that states have subscribed to. Let me give you an example. Nigeria has ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Nigeria has even gone further to domesticate that charter. That charter articulates, certain rights, minimum threshold for the protection and respect for human rights. So when Nigeria failed to fulfill those rights, it is the responsibility of organizations like Amnesty International to say, you know what, this is the commitment that you've made. So in a way, we are using those commitments the same way we are doing to Nigeria, we're doing to the US, to the UK. It's a universal principle.
To hold everybody accountable.
Absolutely. International accountability.
You made reference to the laws and the need for reform, because I heard you cite Abacha and what he tried to do. Do you think that our public office holders, how can we hold them more accountable, especially when we have Section 2 of the 1999 Constitution that is not justiciable? How do we then begin to hold our public office holders and other office holders to account?
Absolutely. Chapter 2 is not doing justice to victims of corruption. It's not doing justice to victims of human rights violations. It's absolutely important that Chapter 2 is made justiciable, because one of the problems that we have with Chapter 2 is that citizens cannot challenge their not compliance, they're not observant before the court. So it is absolutely important that the provision is moved to the more enforceable provisions of the Constitution, that is the provision containing fundamental rights.
But in moving it, what are the steps that we should take to make it justiciable? How?
Simple, because all we need is a government that has got the requisite political will. It doesn't take any complicated legal procedure to say, let me give you an example. Look at South Africa. We have series of economic and social rights that are justiciable. In South Africa, even in some smaller countries, even in Zimbabwe, for example, their new constitution contains legally enforceable economic and social rights. So it shouldn't be difficult for Nigeria to move those provisions, move them to Chapter 4 on fundamental rights enforcement, fundamental rights provision, because Nigeria is one of the richest countries in the world. As a matter of fact, at the last count, Nigeria was number 6 producer of oil in the world. So we've got enormous natural wealth and resources. There's absolutely no justification why this right should not be justiciable, and why every Nigerian citizen should not be enjoying them.
But in the absence of the political will that you talked about, what do we do in the meantime?
What do we do? We need a leadership that is serious and committed. We need the political class that has the genuine commitment of the citizens at heart. We need the political class that can come to an understanding that public office is a public trust. It is not an opportunity to exploit the people. We need a political class. We need the leadership that can sit down and reflect and say, how will life like to be remembered in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? Look at our roads. Look at our hospitals. Those who have ruled us before and run these countries are still badly remembered. They are still not well spoken about. So if I were to advise those in authority, I would say, remember your legacy. It is absolutely important. Public office is not for life. So when you are there, use the opportunity and let people remember you for better.
What is the expectation from the citizenship, for the followership?
There's a saying that people deserve the leader they get. So, and don't forget these leaders that we're talking about. They are among us. So we need to wake up to our responsibility and work to hold our leaders. By we, I mean the Nigerian people, the civil society group. We need to wake up to our responsibility, hold our leaders to account, let them know that without us, they cannot be them. So in a way, whatever they are doing in government is the responsibility to entrench good governance, to ensure that our citizens, especially the disadvantaged among us, have access to basic necessity of life. At the moment, this is not happening, and we haven't even the government has not even come to the realization that the citizens have got rights to basic necessity of life. So that has to happen, and ultimately, there has to be a free and fair election where the voices of the people count.